Welcome to the Tea Time Pod, where we normally take off our ties and offer some tea to our guests for them to relax a little bit and give us insight to who they are and what makes them tick in the African context, Angola, and of course, beyond. We are at the African Union Conference, the third summit on financing infrastructure development. And I'm your host, I am KD. I'm here with my co-host,
Ali.
And with a special co-host,
Adilson.
And we're here talking about finance. We're bringing in experts, we're bringing in governmental bodies in here, and we're speaking to them, okay, what does it really mean to actually finance infrastructure in Angola and Africa? We've spoken to ambassadors, we've spoken to various dignitaries around, but now we have, I would like to say don't know what perfect word to use here, but we're having the people actually hosting the event, the African Union. We have a guest with us who's going to introduce himself. Because as you know, on Tea Time Pod, we don't introduce them. We let them introduce themselves for us to actually hear from their mouth who they are, what they do, and what impact they're having here. So let's welcome Mr. Ibrahim. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Kamara. It's a pleasure to be here, and I really, before you explain to me the initiative of this podcast, I really want to commend the initiative and also to thank Copia Group for the fantastic work they are doing. I think when I hear their activities, it's an inspiration for the continent, and we have Anderson on the panel this morning, and he shared some great insight. I'm sure this is a starting point, and we're truly looking forward to having you in some of our initiatives across the continent.
Thank you.
My name is Ibrah Wahabou, and I head the infrastructure and transport team at the African Union Development Agency in NEPAD. AUD and NEPAD are certainly here. We are the development body of the African Union. Our job is 3 points essentially. Number one, we take the African Union policies, orientation and directive, as well as decision. We translate them into actionable development program and project at national and regional level. And then secondly, we broker partnerships, we mobilize resources and technical assistance to support countries implementing those program and projects. And then finally, through that process, we learn, we see where the missing links are, where the gaps are, and then we package it to provide evidence-based advisory to the countries and to the African Union in a way to inform policy design and decision making. So it's kind of a circle, yeah. So essentially that was we are doing, and within the infrastructure sphere, the Continental Policy Framework is PIDA, the Program for Infrastructure Development in Africa. So we took that policy framework and we cascade it into different 10-year implementation plan. Currently, we are at the second 10-year implementation plan, which is made around 69 projects in water, ICT, transport, and energy.
Currently live?
Currently live up to 2030.
Okay.
And for a total capex of around 160 billion US dollars. The previous 10-year implementation plan ran from 2010 to 2020.
Okay.
And through effort by countries and partners and investors, over 82 billion were channeled on that first 10-year implementation.
Nice increase.
Implementation plan, yeah. So hopefully by 2030, we hope this project will make significant milestone. And many of those projects were presented during this summit. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure we'll have the opportunity to deep dive further.
Exactly.
It was amazing.
Exactly.
To hear you explaining, I'm impressed. Thank you very much to join our little podcast.
Exactly.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And when we look at infrastructure, we've spoken about this, and I think with everyone we speak to that comes here, for us is, we're young Africans.
Yes.
And for Africa to get to that next step, we need to build infrastructure. Now, when we say infrastructure, I know that people have spoken and we spoke what type of infrastructures, but we want to hear directly from you. What type of infrastructures will help propel Africa to that next stage?
Thank you. You see, sometimes when we are talking about the infrastructure, if you don't link it with what is at stake, you don't see it clearly. You said we are young, and this continent is fantastically young. The median age in Africa is 19 years. Basically, half of us on this continent, half of 1.4 billion Africans are below 19 years of age. When you go to Italy or to Japan, that same age is around 44, 47.
Yes.
So half of the population is beyond 44. So this is fundamental link to what you are saying. If you have such a young population that will double in the next 20 years, the way you should design your policies, the way you should reflect how to respond to that need is completely different to the other part of the world. So that's why the conversation of domesticating, localizing our policy is very important. You know what is at stake? Every year we have millions of young people getting into the job market. By 2050, basically 25% of the population living on this planet will be in Africa. We will be over 2 billion people. As we stand, 600 million of us do not have access to electricity.
True.
400 million do not have access to water. We have a logistic dependency to external, which is 80%. So basically 80% of our logistics in terms of shipping depends to external networks.
Yes.
It's much cheaper. It's much cheaper to get a submarine cable landing from UK to Mozambican border than to get it from the neighboring country. So when you think
when you think
about
it, has to go through Europe as well.
Exactly. When you think about it, we just have a conversation from a gentleman coming from Paris, and then another gentleman coming from Niger in West Africa. The gentleman coming from Paris flies straight from Paris up and down to Luanda.
Yes.
The gentleman from Niamey, he flies first to Cotonou in Benin, and then to Lomé in Togo, and then somewhere else
Before
landing here. So when you think about it, how can we design infrastructure that will respond to that? There's two fundamental dimensions. First is the quantity. You really need to find a way to give power to those 600 million people that they don't have it.
That is true.
Second is the quality of those infrastructure and their type. For instance, do we need to enhance air transportation, or should we rely on rail or road infrastructure? Because we will be here, we have to move. The fundamental question is, the next generation of infrastructure need to be multimodal.
Yes.
Those sectors need to complement each other. So that's number one. Number two, that multimodal integrated infrastructure we are talking about, we need partnership with the private sector to build the competency that will design, build, and operate those multimodal infrastructure. And like Kobia Group of companies, you should be one of those that are at the forefront in informing public sector that, guys, this is not the trend we are seeing.
Yes.
And for the next 50 years, we need this type of engineers. An engineer that was trained in 2000, so like 25 years ago, trust me, if they don't go through constant upgrading, they will not be able to respond to the need of engineering of today. Now imagine in 50 years, imagine 100 years. That public-private partnership should go beyond financing infrastructure and think about building capacity, because you know what is happening, you know the need, and you need to be able to inform the public sector so that they can appropriately design the adequate policy in terms of curriculum development, in terms of which kind of training that need to be provided, so that we can have the right competency for tomorrow.
Please.
So going back to we talking about mobility, trade, commerce, connecting different African countries, and come up with a really interesting questions about what type of infrastructure do we need to set up for the next generation, right? So bringing into that the African free trade, Africa continental free trade area.
Yes.
How we are setting the plan to make it happen in a consistently sustainable and responsible manner, meaning that how we can materialize this plan to make it effective.
Absolutely. So 3 points. The first point is to say that the Africa continental free trade area is not I believe it's not only a policy framework, it's a necessity. The 2 billion of Africans that I was talking about need to exchange among themselves. Now, how do you accelerate that? How do you make sure that rapidly we have that free trade? There's 3 ways to do it. And the first way is to recognize that trade itself rely on what we call trade enabling infrastructure. So you can produce in Rwanda, but you need to be able to export it somewhere else. And to do that, you need reliable connectivity infrastructure. So transportation and the logistics are fundamental. Reliable transportation network are fundamental. We talk about multimodal. So it means that if you build the rail, you need to be able to power it with reliable electricity.
Yes.
Yeah.
To that thing to happen, you need to lower the cost so that you can implement at speed. And the cost is the cost of interest in the transport sector, the cost of electricity. Yesterday, the African Union champion of AFCFTA and the former president of Niger, President Issoufou Mahamadou, say that if you don't lower the cost of electricity, you can make any effort, you cannot move. And various analysis has shown that as long as you don't achieve, let's say, below or equal to 7 centimes, like 7 cents of the dollar per kilowatt, it's not optimal.
Yes.
It's not optimal, regardless of the sector. So we need to be able to look at our country's energy mix and to see what is the best option for Angola, what is the best option for Nigeria. If it is solar, how can we set the enabling environment to upscale solar? If it's hydro, how can you say? Because without power, you cannot have industrialization, and then without industrialization, your trade is simply importing, and importing goods means exporting jobs. And like I say, we have millions of young people coming on the market. Now, the other aspect is policy and regulatory framework to allow African capital financing African development. We have pension funds, sovereign wealth funds with huge liquidity on this continent, but the trust is yet to be built sufficiently between those institutional investors and the public sector so that they can put the money. By nature of their operation, those institutional investors are risk averse. You cannot take people's pension, invest it in a toll road with huge demand risk and default potential. So without the sufficient guarantee, we can talk about institutional investment, it will not flow. And to that to happen, the government needs to step up to ease the regulatory framework to allow institutional investors to be comfortable enough. So to sum up, to make AFCFTA a reality, you need to provide the enabling infrastructure. To provide the enabling infrastructure, you need to get power at a lower cost, and you need to reduce risk so that the cost of capital can be low enough and then the investment will flow sufficiently.
So Africa has the resources, all the mineral resources. We're building up the capability, we have the infrastructure, human capital. I would like to get into currency. As we're connecting, as we're doing things together, as we're providing energy, like we have the Lobito corridor, partnership amongst 3 different countries, and many others will benefit from it as well. And then we have also, when it comes to trades,
Yes.
is how key is as Africans looking as a way, as a solution to have a currency, a stable currency, a SDR currency, in order to enable that to go faster. Because Europe they have to come about with a plan that deal with currency to allow the trade and the investment, the flow of capital to get into the US and Asia and so on and so forth. How is Africa looking?
I think if I can just
Yes.
add that, sorry, Elio, just to add to that, I think as you answer that question in terms of single currency, I think even before we get to single currency, what is the African Union doing to increase cross-border?
Yes, that's
Payments.
where I wanted to go.
Right. So before we talk about because it's painful. Cross-border payments is extremely
But-
painful, and you feel it more. I think
To add to
yeah.
that, just before
Yes.
Ibrahim.
I think now you're getting all 3 of us at
Yeah,
once.
but no, because it's
Thanks,
what I've
Kamal.
been pushing. It's there is a system of payment already, I think, approved by African Union.
Yeah, the
called PAP.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
PAPs. Yeah, I think this also helps. I don't know, maybe
Like
Ibrahim.
digital
Yeah,
currency.
but in this case, how quickly is it moving? Because we hear about it in.
No, they have 30 countries, I think, already joined.
Is Angola part of it?
No, I don't think so.
We
Yeah.
have to talk about it.
So that's very interesting. But it's very interlinked. So for the currency, I think the most important aspect is the stability of the currency and the predictability of the monetary policies, and that has to do with the independence of the central banks, and I think countries are making great efforts to stabilize the macroeconomic framework of many of our countries. Now, you have some initiatives that are going on at continental and regional level, but I will start with the regions. In West Africa, for example, you have the West African Economic and Monetary Union.
Yeah.
This is a group of 8 countries with one central bank and one common monetary policy. And within that sub-region, they are really pushing to deregulate and to simplify transactions. So I'm mentioning this example to say that maybe the stepping stone is not to directly force a continent-wide process, but to go building block by building block.
Okay.
If we manage to do it in West Africa, and then if SADC managed to achieve one, and the COMESA achieve one, ESC and the ACAS achieve to have that, it's much easier at a later stage to combine those regional building blocks, and then things can move. Now, coming back to the payment system that the Afrexim Bank is championing, I think it's a fantastic initiative, the PAPs. There's a lot of enthusiasm around it, and I know the financing institutions are very much committed. But I think the process need to be also, the pressure, I would say, need to also come from the other legs, the private sector and the civil society.
Okay.
The private sector and us as our ordinary citizens, we are the one facing the daily challenges.
Okay.
So we should also voice our concern to put pressure on those policymakers and the regulators to tell them that it's not enough. You need to speed up, you need to accelerate. It's not only a conversation between banks, financing institutions, and the National Treasury and Minister of Finance. At the end of the day, us as the household, we are the one paying the burden. Us as business, we are the one paying the burden. And we need to find a platform to speak up so that they will be aware of the daily challenges we face to make payment. I just spoke with a young entrepreneur in the digital sphere, and he was conveying me the difficulty they have in operation in one country in West Africa that I will not mention. So basically, the policy is that when they receive funds, there is a lot of process. Let's say you have a service provider you have a client from Botswana, and then they made payment in foreign currency. The process for you to justify to the bank that indeed this is through legal service provision you did, so that you'll be able to access your payment and then run your business easily, is complex.
Yes.
That is very
And the
true.
young entrepreneurs, particularly in the digital sphere, because one aspect that is what we need to think and that should inform our regulatory policy is that an enterprise, a business of 2000, the rules that regulate business in year 2000 are obsolete to regulate business today.
Yeah.
A young entrepreneur, a young entrepreneur in Luanda today, maybe his biggest client is in Malaysia.
Yes.
So, and they need to proactively be able to finance their operation. So if you have a process that when they receive payment, it will take 15 days to clear it, and then to get the fund, they can't. They will be suffocated. So this is the situation that I think we need to be very well aware, and then ease, so that small and medium enterprises can be able to operate in a more relaxed environment.
Yeah, it's the conversation. It's really amazing, and as Skopje, a group of companies, is infrastructure. Let's say not specialist, but this is our business. To tell a little bit about our experience, we work in infrastructure projects. So we are doing now the supervision of Kakulu Kabasa hydropower, which is a 2,172 megawatts. It's big. And we are now going a little bit to Namibia, also to participate in some tenders over there. And we go where we know. This is important to say. I know Namibia because I studied there.
Okay.
But for me to go to, for example, to Nigeria, I have a lot of friends from Nigeria, but I've never been there. Or to Cameroon or to Egypt. I just talked with very nice two gentlemen from Egypt, and we are building something. What I want to bring to the table here is, as African Union, how you bridge the gap between the cultural differences, because Africa is a huge continent. Angola has one culture, but then we have Egypt, for example. It's a completely different culture. Even language, because language is culture. Okay, so there is some programs from African Union on the infrastructure point of view. For example, Mr. Ibrahim, you are responsible to let us know the business part of it, what is happening in the infrastructure all over Africa.
Exactly.
But you are not Angolan, so you are not from Egypt. I can see. So how you put us all together in the same venue like this one and say, okay, there's a project happening in Niger, and they need a supervision company. Copy a group of companies. Can you tender for this project? What is the law? What is the in Angola we said, I cannot remember the name. We know about the terms of reference of the tender and the caderno de encargos.
Terms of reference.
Terms of reference. We have two. TDR. So we don't understand. So maybe a body in African Union, NEPAD, OUDA, that we could go, we could tender for it, that everybody can read it, any country that join. We needed to start from there, just for me to be a little bit more clear.
But are we talking about platform, or are you talking about another summit like this?
No, platform. Let's say, for example,
Like let's say a
Angola.
digital platform.
Yes, a digital
platform,
platform
okay.
created by African Union, EPAD, OUDA. Okay, so there is a project in Angola to build the transmission lines, 100 kilometers. The government of Angola will release a tender.
Yeah.
This tender needs to go to an African platform, okay, where a company from Egypt, a company, not only, I mean, the tender is for everybody, right? There is a invitation only tender, depends on each government, but this tender goes to a platform in the African Union. Any company goes in, pays for the tender, of course. This money goes to the country that issued the tender. There is a percentage that stays to the African Union.
That's sponsored.
Yeah, no, it's there's a percentage. They can discuss about the percentages, and then I buy the tender, I do it, and I submit. And if I'm qualified, and then goes to the African Union can do it by digital meetings with the project owner. These kind of initiatives can actually bridge the gap between me and Niger, for example, that there is a project over there. This is very important. Believe me, as a businessman, as a supervision company, this is very, very important. This is for yesterday.
Is this something the AU is looking after?
True.
Or looking for?
No, thank. This is brilliant, frankly, and there have been attempts for this kind of public procurement platforms. We have an initiative called Energize Africa that, among other things, aims to boost engagement among private sector, but also engagement between public and private sector. The suggestion that you are making, that why don't we federate the bidding and the availability of bid on the continent, so that to allow anyone to submit, and then that also opened the door to a very important conversation, is that when you look at some of the bids, there is need to be able to have a kind of Pan-African bidding preference, for example, so that we encourage country that we have a network of African providers of services. When you open this bid, if it's in Burkina Faso, open it to all companies based in Africa. If your challenge is, but how can a firm from Angola submit the bid, then AU will provide you the platform where you will receive all these competitors. I personally I think this as a very sound recommendation. We will keep engaged.
Thank you.
And we will need to find a way how to channel it to the appropriate decision-making bodies of the AU to think about it.
That's
Definitely.
It's amazing.
It's very pertinent.
It's for us, as a company, because Copia group of companies is a family company, but we understand our market. We are studying the market not only in Angola but also in our regions, SADC region, and the main difficulties we have, it's a local content, because I'm Angolan, I want to go to Namibia, but a Copia group of companies in Namibia should be run by Namibians, okay? And Copia group of companies Cameroon should be run by Cameroonese people. But this in Africa, it's very, very, in my point of view, it's not difficult to do. And culturally speaking, Africa, and I saw on the website, there is a plan until 2063. Inside that plan, there are 14 projects, very well identified. I read each one of them. And one of the limitations that the organization is facing is the non-conformity and the non-compliance or no breaking promises between the African Union members. So, for example, if country A says, I'm doing that, and other 50 countries says yes, then 4 countries says no, for example. So it's difficult to put everything together. So digitally speaking, we need to look into that, because we, a young company like Copper, we are 10 years old, almost 11. If you introduce a digital platform, even small projects, it doesn't need to be those 14 projects, because they are big infrastructure projects.
Yeah.
And another thing I want to raise the attention is, okay,
Come on, you need to educate us on digital thing.
No, we'll get there.
That's your
Maybe not in this one, but we'll get there.
okay. Look, at these 14 projects, all of them are huge infrastructure projects,
Yeah.
huge, billions. That's why our president, Mr. Lorenzo, said the general manager, executive general manager from Auda Nepad also said there is between 130 billion to 170 billion gap that needs to be built in
Yeah.
infrastructure.
Yeah.
So those 14, who is going to do it? Who is going to build it? Who is going to supervise it?
Yeah.
American companies, European companies, Asian companies, African companies. There's been a study done by the African Union to let's say to check in Africa if there is capacity,
That's true.
capacity companies to do this,
do it,
to
exactly.
do some of the projects, to supervise some of them. These B2B, G2B. I mean, we need to check
All the
these.
letters.
Yeah,
All the letters.
That's a conversation we must have.
And we'll build on that. Definitely.
About that.
I think something that we can sit down and build on.
Yeah.
I think one thing we have to remember that this is a start.
Absolutely.
This is a start.
This is the
No.
third summit. So
No, this is the third summit, but this is the
The-
first
Rwanda summit.
for here.
Yeah.
Right, this is the first one here. This is the
Session
first
is so
conversation.
good.
Right.
And
So
remember,
I,
I'm just Mr. Ibrahim. For me, it's like a diamond. That's why I need to.
We will keep it going.
yeah, we'll
certainly.
definitely keep it going. As we promised, this is just the beginning, and it's something that we'll continue to build on
Absolutely.
with the African Union, with Copy Group, even the other exhibitors as well,
Yeah.
to see how we can push things to the next level.
Okay.
One thing we've always spoken about here is all about collaboration. And it's very interesting what you said about, in terms of infrastructure that we need to work on now, is enabling infrastructure.
Yes.
And it would have been great if we changed the name of the summit to the Summit on Financing, Enabling Infrastructure.
Infrastructure,
For us to understand that in order for us to move to that next level, we need enabling infrastructure. So, Mr. Ibrahim, thank you very much.
It's
Thanks
a
so
very
much.
great pleasure to be
Thank you
here
for
with
that.
you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you
very
all
much,
the
Professor.
success.
Thank you very much.
And we
you so
hope
much.
Thanks.
that another summit happen soon.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We'll see you in the next 2 years. Well,
Definitely.
Thank you.
My co-host Elu, thank you once again. It's been a blast. Super energetic co-host.
Thank you, KB.
And this is T-Type Pod. This is what we do. We try and bring conversation. We bring in debates, try and understand what is going on in Angola and Africa. And this has been a blast being part of this. And till next time, keep in touch. Subscribe to us, to CGC, Copy Group of Companies. Subscribe to the African Union as well, and just continue to watch this space. Till next time, thank you.